What's going on, everybody? Austin here, and in this video, we are going to be taking a look at Grignon's mock draft 2.0. So what this looks like right here is we've got every NFL team selected, and I get to choose who takes who. So with the first overall pick in the 2022 NFL draft, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars selecting Evan Neal. Nothing there has changed. I think you've got a good quarterback, or you've got a franchise quarterback that you need to be good. You surround him with good pieces. That's the easiest move right there. Now, the Lions, ideally, you'd want to trade out of this spot because you got a lot of holes and there's not really a great second guy, but I doubt there's anybody that wants to trade up to this spot. So you take the best player available, and here the best player available is going to be Kayvon Thibodeaux. All right. Now, I went back and forth on this. Originally, I had them taking Aiden Hutchinson if he was available, but I think Kayvon's just a better player who was productive for longer, and he's, more physical, a better athlete overall. He's got longer arms, everything like that. His only knock is whether or not he wants to play in a small market and whether or not he really loves the game of football. From that standpoint, you got to believe that you just have to take the best player and shoot for the moon, because you can't be taking safe guys based on, oh, well, he probably wants to play here versus somebody else. Now with this next pick, I have the Houston Texans. All right. They also need offensive line help. They need offensive help because they've got a young quarterback that they can build around. An argument could be made for Aiden Hutchinson here because I feel like him versus Akeem Ekwonu, that's kind of malleable as far as the type of player that you're getting. But, Davis Mills, he looks like the type of guy that could turn out to be a future star, and you can't move around and you can't mess around with, helping that kind of guy out. Now the New York Jets here, an argument could be made for them to take a wide receiver, but because they have their offensive line set, and I don't think there's a receiver good enough to take at 4, I'm going to have them coming up. Well, not coming up, but I'm going to have them up to the podium taking Aiden Hutchinson, the guy who I believe was probably the second best pass rusher in the draft, but the Jets are happy with him. He was a Heisman finalist. He set the University of Michigan all-time sacks record for a single season, at least, breaking his own dad's record, which is pretty cool. The New York Football Jets taking what they could believe to be a generational pass rusher. Now the Giants, I am very strong about what the Giants should do here. I think their first pick needs to be Kyle Hamilton. He's supposed to be the best safety in the draft. And with Brian Daboll, if you can just get any help on defense, he'll be able to take care of the offense, and you get a bunch of talent on defense, and that's going to be a great team right there. Now, obviously, Daniel Jones is not the guy, but they committed to him for this year, so forget about trying to build around a quarterback that's not even there yet. Carolina Panthers desperately, and I mean desperately, need offensive line help. So the move right here is the best offensive tackle left in the draft, Charles Cross. A lot of people have them taking Malik Willis. A lot of people have them taking Kenny Pickett here. I think that'd be a dumb move. You're not set up to do that. And then the New York Giants' second first-round pick right here. They got 5 and 7, easily the best first-round set of draft picks in this year's draft. I have them taking the cornerback out of Cincinnati, Ahmad Sauce Gardner. The reason I have him taking him is I believe that he can end up being a Patrick Peterson type of player who, he's long, he's rangy. He's getting bigger and bigger every single year. And him plus Kyle Hamilton, that's absolutely just going to completely change your secondary into what could end up being the best secondary in the league in one season. The Atlanta Falcons, if I were them right here, this is where I would take a quarterback. Now, this is going to be somewhat controversial because a lot of people don't see it the way I do. I think that Desmond Ridder out of Cincinnati is the best quarterback in the draft right now. Most people have him as, 4th, 5th, 6th. I look at him and I see that he is athletic and he's fantastic and he wins games. He's got the stats. He's got the physicality. There's no reason why he shouldn't be a pick that can change a franchise. There's no reason why he can't be that guy. You're sitting behind Marcus Mariota for a year. I mean, this team is horrendous. You don't want to get him out there, throw him out there and get killed. But that's who I'm rolling with, is Desmond Ridder, right? Let's go to the Seattle Seahawks. Now, this one I could see going a multitude of ways. They need offensive line help. They need a quarterback of the future. I think they're going to try to roll with. Drew Lock, because he's a guy who you can tell to hand the ball off a lot, and because of that, I'm changing things up here. I think they're just going to go with the best player available, and that guy isn't Malik Willis. It's probably going to be one of these defensive players right here, one of the defensive linemen from Georgia, and it's going to be Trayvon Walker, a guy who is rumored to go as high as number 2 to the Lions. I don't think he's that good. I think 9 is a little bit of a reach, but you know, they're just going to try to rebuild that Legion of Boom, and with the 2 safeties they have, it's a good start, but they're going to need help in the front seven. And then with the Jets' second pick at 10 right here, I have them taking the first wide receiver of the draft. I mean, Garrett Wilson, great wide receiver. I mean, there's lots of wide receivers in this draft. Jamison Williams out of Alabama, Drake London out of UFC, who could arguably be the best. Injuries aside, I have them taking Chris Olave, who to me, he looks a lot like Devontae Adams, maybe a little bit faster, a little bigger, maybe more akin to a fast Keenan Allen. But that's the guy for them right there. And your franchise quarterback who you need to play at a high level in order to justify that pick. The Washington Commanders, they have an excellent setup on their defensive front seven. And so there's no sense in taking any of these defensive linemen, the pass rushers, anything like that. It's possible they go offensive line here, but I think the move for them is to go with cornerback Derek Stingley Jr., who is argued to be the best defensive back in the draft. I think it's going to be Ahmad Gardner as far as cornerbacks go. And between Derek Stingley Jr. and Andrew Booth Jr., both of these guys are great options, but you kind of have to take the LSU pedigree right there. The Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings need help in a lot of areas, pretty much everywhere except wide receiver and running back. So what I have them doing is just going for a guy that they think can change their defense. And that is going to be defensive tackle Jordan Davis right here. He's big. He's monstrous in his size. I think he was like 6'6", 380. I don't have that in front of me, but like it was just a ridiculous size. The Houston Texans. Okay, so they took an offensive tackle with their first pick. I have a string of wide receivers all going right here. I have the Houston Texans taking, let's get right here. I have them taking wide receiver Jamison Williams out of Alabama. Then the Baltimore Ravens are going to take Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State. He's a big body receiver right there. I have right here the Philadelphia Eagles. They are going to be taking Drake London out of UFC. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this, but you basically have 5 wide receivers going within 6 picks, or 4 wide receivers going within 6 picks, and 3 going right in a row. And it's because there are 3 teams that all desperately need wide receivers in the Texans, Baltimore Ravens, and the Philadelphia Eagles. And now with this next pick, I have right here the New Orleans Saints taking Malik Willis. They traded up from 18 to 16. And then added the 19th pick. That was a really weird trade. I don't know why they did it. I think it was to kind of stack the roster this year, maybe punt a little on next year, but maybe they got 2 guys that they think are going to be taken around this area that they really, really want to get their hands on. I think Malik Willis is one of them. If he falls this far, there's no way they don't draft him. Then for the Chargers, I'm sticking with my original pick. They need linebacker help. And there's nobody who looks better in the draft better set up to do that than the Utah linebacker Devin Lloyd. Now that the Philadelphia Eagles have another wide receiver to help Jalen Hurts, I think that they're just going to boost their roster best player available. So what they're going to go with is Jermaine Johnson, the edge out of Florida State, who technically, according to the nerd rankings, has fallen a little bit here. The New Orleans Saints are up again. Now this is an interesting pick right here. It's hard to tell why they wanted these 2 first-round picks instead of 1 next year. My guess is they're trying to replace their offensive lineman that they let go to Miami. Yeah, can't even think of his name right now. But the guy that they're going to replace him with is Trevor Penning, the offensive tackle out of Northern Iowa. So now you've got your quarterback of the future, and you've got a future left tackle. The Pittsburgh Steelers right here. I went back and forth on this one because I could see them taking Kenny Pickett, the kid out of Pitt. I don't think it would be the right move. I think the pick right here for them is probably going to be either an offensive lineman or Andrew Booth Jr. So could I see them taking Tyler Linderbaum, the center / guard, or Zion Johnson, these interior offensive linemen? Both of these guys are really good. Or Andrew Booth. I think the pick is going to be Andrew Booth because they're kind of weak at cornerback right now. And so that's why I have them taking, which is good for the Patriots. Because I have the Patriots going offensive center. They're going center. Tyler Linderbaum, he's a center / guard. That's going to help out with the loss of Shaq Mason. Everything right here just screams New England. It's, they're running the football. They're safe. They develop offensive linemen. Plus all the best wide receivers are pretty much gone at this point. I just accidentally had that's weird. I accidentally had the Green Bay Packers selecting George Karlaftis, which was absolutely an accident. Right here, I probably would have had them taking an edge rusher, but would it have been him? I have them taking an edge rusher with their first pick and then a wide receiver with their second first round pick. So I guess it works out because he is the highest rated edge rusher left. So the only guy that's left really is David Ojabo, and I don't know if he goes in the first round just because of his injury. So George Karlaftis, the edge out of Purdue, he's got the highest pedigree left of those top 4 or 5 defensive pass rushers in this draft. The Arizona Cardinals, they don't need that much help, but they need a little bit of help across a couple different spots. I have them going offensive guard, pretty much just to help keep Kyler Murray happy. Now the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys probably going safety here. I could see them taking Daxton Hill out of Michigan. An argument could be made that they should take cornerback to make, to get a number 1 cornerback and then make Trayvon Diggs play the number 2 spot. But I'm going to have them take Daxton Hill, the safety out of Michigan, which is really going to upset Kansas City because Kansas City wanted him to fall to them. Buffalo Bills, I have them going offensive guard, pretty much anything to help that run game. It's not great. I have them going with Kenyon Green out of Texas A&M. He's somebody who I would have had go to the Titans, but he didn't fall that far. With the Titans pick, I have them taking, was it Nakobe Dean? I could see why they'd be going to take Nakobe Dean or either of the cornerbacks. I'm going to go with, I think their front 7 is good enough, and so I'm going to have them take Trent McDuffie, the cornerback out of Washington. I think he's the best guy left for them. And after they took Caleb Farley last year in the first round, and he could have been the best cornerback in that class, if not for the injury concerns. The only problem is he got injured right away, and it didn't work out. Now, he could end up coming back and having a decent career left, but I think it's a little past that. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they need help in the secondary, so they're going to take Khair Elam. That's an easy pick for them right there. They had a horrendous secondary last year. The Packers, they're coming up with their second first-round pick, and they're going for a wide receiver. Now, of the wide receivers that are left, who's here? So Treylon Burks and Jahad Dotson, these are the guys that I think I think Jahad Dotson is a nice big play guy, but Treylon Burks is the guy who looks most like Devontae Adams. And so I have them taking Treylon Burks right here, which is good news for the Kansas City Chiefs because Jahad Dotson is a guy that they really like. And I think that they're going to use him to replace Tyreek Hill. He's a big, long, rangy guy. And then the next pick for them is going to be the safety Lewis Cine out of Georgia, who a lot of people have called the best safety in the draft. I don't think he is, but I mean, it's an absolute home run after losing Tyreek Hill in the trade. And why am I blanking on his name? Honey Badger. Tyrann Mathieu. After losing Tyrann Mathieu to free agency, they're replacing them both in the first round. The Cincinnati Bengals, I could see trading out of this pick, but I have them taking a cornerback here. I believe Roger McCreary is the best cornerback. Basically, somebody getting ready to replace Eli Apple. And so they're taking a cornerback out of Auburn to make that move. And then the Detroit Lions, despite making a move to get a former first-round linebacker back, I have them taking Nakobe Dean, the linebacker out of Georgia, who kind of magically for them falls. And so that's what this draft looks like right here. The one trade, obviously, with the Saints and the Philadelphia Eagles, it was kind of weird, but that's what this ends up looking like. Several wide receivers, lots of cornerbacks, and defensive ends. That's what this draft is about. So thanks for watching this video, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know who your team is and who you want them to take in this year's draft.